Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a Christmas wreath quilt block. Now this quilt block includes this border around here is a 14-inch block. To get it into this pillow, if you want to do that with your block, I added an additional 2-inch border all the way around to make it an 18-inch pillow. All of the supplies and cutting instructions are below your YouTube screen in the description section. So scroll down until you see the word more, click on it, and then that section will expand open and you will see all of the links appearing. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to start with your background fabric. Get your 3.5-inch squares. You will need 5. This is the right side of my fabric. I also call it the front side or the pretty side. So you want to take that and have it going down to where you're looking at the wrong side of the fabric, the not so pretty side. You're going to need a ruler and you're going to draw a line from corner to corner. So place your ruler on those two corners and then draw a line. Now you're going to go out 1/4 inch on each side of that line. So place your 1/4 inch line on your ruler. You're going to place the 1/4 inch line on the center line. So place it on there and then draw another line. Now go over and turn it and place that 1/4 inch line on the center line again and then draw another line. So you will have 3 lines all together. Now you'll need 2 3.5-inch squares of your fabric for your bow and 3 3.5-inch squares of your fabric for the wreath. Take them and have the right side up, which is the prettiest side, and put your background fabric piece on there. And if you need to, go ahead and put a pin or two to hold it together. Then what you're going to do is you're going to stitch on this outside line on each side. So you'll do it to all of these pieces. So once you've got these stitched, go ahead and run an iron all over them to get the stitches to relax. Now take your ruler, place it on the center line. And I use a rotary cutter. If you don't have a rotary cutter, then use scissors and cut it in half on that center line. Then, when you are done, flip it over to where the dark fabric is on top. Now, separate them and open the dark fabric going away from you and then press it. And what you want to do is have the seam going towards the dark fabric. So you're going to do that to all of your half square triangles. Now we're going to take those half square triangles and square them to 2.5 inches square. So on your acrylic ruler, if you have one of these, you want to look for the 2.5 inch line here and here, going across here. There's also a diagonal line going through the center from corner to corner. So you want to pay attention to all of those lines. So here is my half square triangle. I'm going to place my ruler over it and I'm going to put the diagonal line right on that center seam. And I also want to place it to where I have a little bit of fabric coming out around these two edges here. So once you have it lined up, go ahead and trim this side and then this side. Now, I'm left-handed, so you're just going to reverse everything I tell you. Now take this corner and bring it over here. So I'm just going to flip it. So now you're going to place your 2.5-inch lines here right on these two previously cut edges. And place it on there. Once you've got it lined up, make sure your diagonal line is on the center line. Take your time lining it up, and then go ahead and cut the other two edges. And you'll do this to all of your half square triangles. Now we're going to start stitching the squares together. So take 2 of your green half square triangles and 1 background 2.5-inch square, and you're going to stitch that center square here, the background fabric, to in the middle, in between your 2 half square triangles, and use a 1/4-inch seam. Then you're going to do it with the 2 green, and then again 2 red, and with the 2.5-inch square. Now on each end, stitch a 2.5-inch square background fabric on each end. When you're done with stitching the squares together in these 3 rows, you want to press your seam. So first take it and press on the back, and then unfold everything and press it going away. Now if your fabric is real dark that you have here, you can press them towards the darkest fabric. Now take one of these with the green and one with the red. Have the one with the green facing this direction. Take the one with the red and flip it this way. Then take background fabric, and this is 6.5 inches long by 2.5 inches. So you're going to stitch this center piece to each of these. So just place this on top. I would pin it if you need to. Stitch a 1/4-inch seam, and then after stitching this one on, then take this one, bring it front sides together, stitch a 1/4-inch seam. After you finish stitching, then you need to press your seams. So press them on the back side like this, and I'm going to press the other seam. Never skip the pressing process. Your blocks will turn out much better if you press. Now I want to press these seams towards the center piece. So I'm going to lift it up, make sure that seam is going towards that piece, and press. Now do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that seam is going towards the center piece and press. Now take 2 of your wreath fabric that are 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Place it on each side of this section here. Put it on top, and then go ahead and stitch a 1/4-inch seam. Then go to this side and repeat and stitch a 1/4-inch seam. Now press the seams on the back side, and then open it up, and you're going to press this seam towards the dark fabric here, your wreath fabric. So make sure it's going in that direction, and then press, and then open this one up. Make sure that seam is going towards this fabric, and then press. Now take your bow fabric piece that is 2.5 inches by 6.5, and take 2 of your green half square triangles and stitch them on each end, doing a 1/4-inch seam, and then press the seams on the back side, unfold, and this time I've pressed the seams going towards the red bow fabric. Now take this piece and you're going to place it on the bottom of your center section next to the red half square triangles. So place this on top. Now you want to make sure that your seam here and here is lined up. So I do that by placing the seams right on top of each other. And if your seams are going in the opposite direction of each other, it should fit in there nice and snug. And I would take a pin and hold it in place. Then go over to this side here. Make sure that your seams are lined up, they're locked right in there. Once you have it in place, put a pin to hold, and I would put another pin here in the center, and then go ahead and stitch a 1/4 inch seam all the way across. Now press your seam on the back side and then open it up and press it down, making sure this seam is going towards this strip or row of fabric pieces, because you want to press this seam towards that row. Now take your row you've created that has the red bow fabric in it, the half square triangles, and place it next to here, and now you can see that bow formation forming. Place this on top. Line up your seams and then pin your seams, pin everything across here, and then stitch and then press. Now press your seam on the back. Now you're going to press this seam going towards the red fabric. So I'm going to lift it up just a little bit and make sure that seam is turned so it will go over there. And then press it on top. Now you're going to create this top row, or the top portion of the wreath. So you'll need one 2.5 inch square by 6.5 of your wreath fabric and 2 half square triangles with the wreath fabric in it. So stitch those together with a 1/4 inch wide seam. Now take this and place it on top. And again, match up those seams. They should be going in the opposite direction. Place pins to hold your seams and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam. Then press your seams on the back side. And then when you unfold and press, you're going to press the seam towards this top strip. Now take your 2 strips that are 12.5 inches long by 2.5 inches, and you're going to stitch them on each side and do a 1/4 inch seam. And I do recommend you pin everything down, especially if you're not used to sewing, and then the 1/4 inch seam. Press your seams on the back, and then on this version or this particular seam, because there's so many little seams along here, I recommend you press the seam here towards your outside fabric. Then once you have these 2 stitched on, take your 14 inch long piece of fabric and stitch it across, press and unfold, and again I would press it towards the outside fabric. And now this is what your block looks like when it's done. So make sure you've done all of your pressing. Now it's time to square this block up, making sure that it is 14.5 inches. Because this block is 14.5 inches, well, we hope it is at this point, I'm using a 15 inch square quilting ruler. If you don't have one, all you need to do is put it on a cutting mat that has lines and line it up as straight on it as you can to see if it looks 14.5 inches. And then do the other side. Put that corner in up against the lines, and make sure there's no waves, no bumps, or anything along the way. If you're using the ruler, what you want to do is just place it. I like to turn it just a little bit, and I'm going to place my ruler on these two edges here and here, and I'm going to look to see if anything is sticking out. And from my point of view, as I'm sitting here, I don't see anything. Now, to check the other two edges, I'm going to take this corner and bring it over here. So just turn it around, okay? And then place your ruler on the previously two cut edges, which are down here now. Put that 14.5-inch line on each side, 14.5 and 14.5 over here. And make sure you've got it all nice and straight. Nope, not quite. And then you check again to see if anything is sticking out. And it looks pretty close. Now, if you're going to make this into a quilt, a suggestion is make each wreath out of a different shade of green if you want. So if you've got a lot of scrap fabric, go through your scrap fabric, and you can make each bow a different color. If you want to make it into a pillow, and I wanted to make it an 18-inch pillow, I went ahead and added another 4 strips of 2-inch wide fabric so I could make it into an 18-inch pillow. If you want to learn how to put sashing in between your blocks in a quilt, I will have a link below your YouTube screen in the description section. Remember, scroll down, look for the word more, click on it, and that section will expand open. Now, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time.